Welcome back, everyone, to the ULTY portfolio update. This is data as of September 17th, end of day, and we're going to go over the highs and the lows, the buys and the sells, and the options trades within the ULTY portfolio. So if you're ready for that, let's get into it. All right, so we got some interesting stuff going on today. First of all, I want to highlight from yesterday's holdings, we had AppLovin, and today's holdings, it's gone. ULTY has sold out of AppLovin. That was about 4% or so of the portfolio. They've been slowly decreasing, getting out of it, and now they are totally out of AppLovin. That one is gone. They did not add anything to the portfolio today in terms of new buys. They did buy more of some stocks. For example, Rocket Companies, the one that owns Rocket Mortgage. They bought more of HIMS, which we covered yesterday. That's the pharmacy one. And they did sell some of Rigetti and IonQ, the two quantum ones. Now, I've got it sorted from high to low in terms of winners and losers, and I just want to go over 4 really quick news articles with you guys. Opendoor Technologies, that one was up 14% today. Now, there wasn't really any big news like change in, earnings or things like that. No, fundamental news. Other than that, they've got a new CEO, which we talked about yesterday. He's getting a big incentive program, about 82 million shares incentive package. And for whatever reason, the market responded well to that. I think it's just an overall change of management that the market is excited about for Opendoor. This stock was getting clobbered pretty much since it IPO'd. It had a high of 34.59. It almost went to penny stock territory. In fact, it did go to penny stock territory earlier this year, but it's been going up. The last 5 days up 34%, the last month up 170%, last 6 months 757%, and just today up 14.46%. So ULTY's added Opendoor because of all that volatility, and they play some interesting trades around it. Now, we talked about those trades in a previous video where ULTY's going to cap their upside at $10.50 a share. Opendoor's trading at $10.21, so we're getting close there. They've capped their downside at $8.50 a share, and their break even is $9.38. So the cap was $10.50. They bought it at like an average price of, what was it again? $9.61. So they could get $5 million in upside and a net credit of $1.3 million, making a profit of $6.7 million. In a pretty short time period. Now, what else? Rigetti Computing up almost 10% on the day. No major news there, but the other quantum stock that was up was IonQ. That one was up. The news there was IonQ has a deal going on with the Department of Energy, or a memorandum of understanding, so the precursor to a deal, where IonQ and the Department of Energy are going to use quantum computing technology possibly in space. They say, we'll provide design and execution of orbital demonstration of quantum secure communications using its satellite platform. So to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what all that means, but it seems like more government contracts for IonQ is kind of in line with what we saw before, where they announced a new division, a federal division of IonQ that would help deal with, the U.S. government and its allies, like maybe the U.K. government, to advance quantum computing and use quantum computing in space or in just AI that the government uses. So that was up. Rigetti was also up. I don't remember there being too much news other than that it's just getting closer to an all-time high. You see this article from Yahoo Finance. It said 11 hours ago, but we covered that, I think, a few days ago, just where Rigetti is talking with the Indian government, kind of doing another memorandum of understanding where they're saying where they're going to partner with the Indian government to develop quantum computing and do more research on it. So yeah, those two stocks up. The other one I wanted to highlight, Palantir. This one was down a little bit on today, but that could have just been regular trading, not really down on any news. The news was that Palantir could strike a deal with the UK Defense Department or the Ministry of Defense for $1 billion, where the UK government is going to use Palantir AI technologies for whatever it is the US or the UK Ministry of Defense does. They're saying here, battlefield targeting, that's kind of interesting. not seeing anything else. It says system is expected to integrate data from different sources, medical records, payroll, and training documents to help assess the suitability of personnel for deployment. So basically, UK military is going to run on Palantir, is what I'm hearing, all for $1 billion. We'll see if that shakes out, but that's what's been going on there. So I think that's good news for the Palantir stock and the overall portfolio. Looks like ULTY is holding about 6.31% of Palantir, or of their portfolio is in Palantir. So fairly high concentration there. Now, just to recap the winners and losers, we had 11 winners on the day and 9 losers there, but they weren't too weak. Just down 3% in Webull. That's only a 1.4% position of the portfolio. NewScale was down 3% and Coinbase hit down 2.24%. I checked. Bitcoin didn't really have any movement today, so it wasn't anything to do with that. So probably just more sellers than buyers today for Coinbase. Now, today was the distribution day, or the distribution announcement day. So tomorrow's the X date. The distribution ULTY is going to pay on Friday is 0.0928 cents, so higher than last week, which was just 9 cents, right? Yeah, last week was just 9 cents. So a little more volatility here, little more income from there. Good to see. The distribution is going to mean we have a yield of 85% in ULTY, which is pretty standard, and it was characterized as return of capital. Yep, 100% return of capital today there. So that covers pretty much all the news with the portfolio. There was another buy of HIMS, 1 million shares of that, and 2.5 million shares of Rocket companies. Rocket Mortgage is their name brand company within there. And I've got the trades over here. The interesting thing about this one is they kind of did it in 2 steps. So the yellow step are trades that are expiring on Friday, on the 19th, and the blue ones are options trades expiring next Friday. So it's basically the same strategy where they're doing a collar, they're selling a covered call at a higher price than they bought it and buying a protective put at a lower price than they bought it, with the hope that the stock goes up past through the covered call, so they'll capture some of that gain plus the premium. But if that doesn't happen, they'll limit their losses by being able to sell all those shares at that protective put price. So let's break down how this works. Okay, selling the covered call, we're going to use this one here, which is in yellow and expiring on the 19th. So 12,500 contracts. And the premium they received for that was 19 cents. And they bought a put. You can see it here, the put and the B, which means buy. Same number of contracts. And this one cost 11 cents. So a net credit of $100,000. And in this example, we're just going to use the first one, the first line item here, but you could use the other line item that would change things because the price is lower. You could use 21.31. But we're going to use 21.47 as our starting point. So that is the price paid, 21.47. And let's add in the shares there. And the max price, the ceiling, is 22.50. So they bought 1.25 million shares at 21.47. If it goes past 22.50, they're going to be forced to sell, but they will get some upside, $1.2 million of upside and $100,000 credit, for a max profit of 1.3 million, almost 1.4 million. Now for their downside, for the puts that they bought, the minimum price is $19.50. So that is how much they can sell the shares for if they need to. And if they do need to, they'll take a loss of $2.4 million. But when you add back in that net credit that they'll receive no matter what, they will have a max loss of 2.3 million. So their break even, and remember the break even is just net credit per share. Their break even is going to be $21.39, and their net credit per share was 8 cents, where we just took $100,000 of net credit divided by the number of shares there, and the credit per share was 8 cents. And so you take what they paid for minus that, 8 cents gets you a break even of $21.39. And the ROI, the potential ROI, if Rocket Companies goes above $22.50, is going to be 58%. Which is not bad considering they placed these trades on today, the 17th, and these trades expire on the 19th. So scooping up a nice little either 100,000 or somewhere in between. Rocket Companies stays there. And Rocket Company is trading at 21.16, up 1.93% today. The lowest it went was 2019. So assuming that it kind of continues along for the next 2 days, stays above that break even, ULTY will make some money on this trade. Now you do see that they could have used the 21.31 as their price there, and that would change things up a bit because in this case they'd get more of an upside gain and they'd have less of a downside as well, and they'd have less of a downside as well. They might also want to use that 21.31 for the longer dated calls that are expiring next Friday on the 26th. So the math on that would look something like this. So we'd take, instead of 19, they're receiving 72 cents per share, and they bought those puts for 44 cents per share, 21.31 there. Yep, all looks good. So they could potentially receive 1.8 million in max profit. Their net credit goes up to 350,000. Their max loss actually goes down if they use 21.31 as their cost basis. Max loss of only 1.9 million. Their break even goes down to 21.03, and their potential return is 96%. So just, we don't know what they're going to do exactly. It will depend on how Rocket Companies trades, but it does look good for ULTY there, at least if Rocket Lab continues kind of where it's staying at and stays above the $21 price. So that was really it, guys. A pretty quick update, not too much big news there. The big winner of the day was Opendoor. Rigetti was not far behind, and also highlighting that ULTY's got about, let's get the sum on that, 20% of the portfolio is in cash. So we might see some more buys, either adding to some of these positions or getting an entirely new position. Let's see. Smallest position, they've been selling out of Webull. They might get some more Opendoor. A firm, they might add maybe Reddit, or maybe get HIMS up to like 5%. So we'll see. I have a feeling this Webull position is going to disappear soon. This Opendoor one might also disappear soon, but to the positive, where it gets called away, where Opendoor hits like 1050, 1051, and they get some upside. So we'll just keep a close eye on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate everyone who watches the video, especially if you're subscribing and liking and commenting. Love to see the engagement, and it tells me that I should keep making more of these. Remember, you guys are my boss. You tell me what's working, what's not, what we want to see, and I'll try to deliver that to you. So see you in the next video.